Where does a startup start? That might be the question we talk through when we talk to Startup Hustle podcast owner Andrew Morgans on our 150th podcast today. Really good insight, journey along the way, and here we go. Selling on Amazon is difficult. It's everything but passive income. I share videos like this one to help Amazon sellers on their journey. My name is Stephen Pope, and I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. When Amazon turns your world upside down, tune into My Amazon Guy to land safely and grow your Amazon business. Welcome to the My Amazon Guy podcast, Andrew. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. Welcome. Welcome. Happy to be here.
Well, you're saying that because yesterday I was on your podcast.
I know.
And you also host your own thing. Why don't we start with that? So tell me a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I'm a founder of Marknology, an Amazon agency, much like My Amazon Guy. Talking on the podcast yesterday, I think our stories are real similar, at least in regards to mindset and being aligned on how we attack things. And I have a podcast called the Startup Hustle. You can find us on all major platforms. We're also on YouTube. And a shameless plug there is the podcast has been around for 3 or 4 years. We're like top 20 in entrepreneurs. So it's not just
That's
Amazon
awesome.
for anyone listening. Thank you. But there's 4 other hosts on the show. So I don't take all the credits. We're putting out lots of content. I just cover e-commerce and Amazon on Tuesdays. But check it out. We're dropping kind of behind the scenes TV show. It's going to be a web series on YouTube starting February 1st with myself and the other hosts of the podcast, just kind of giving some, even more to the audio, just the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship and kind of trying to bring something to the light that doesn't get a lot. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So if anyone wants to follow that, Startup Hustle, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everywhere.
Well, I think that's a great podcast, and it's awesome to talk to somebody that's also a thought leader in the space. I think content creation really requires a lot of brain power, quite frankly, but also just sweat, tears, and putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Cool. So Marknology, it's an Amazon brand accelerator, as we were just kind of brainstorming coming into this. You mentioned that you own a couple of Amazon brands recently. So what's that about?
Yeah, and we didn't get into the failures, but I tried.
We'll get there.
So
Everybody's
I
got a
haven't done as
failure.
there. I have a bunch, but
You're not an
I don't.
entrepreneur until you've failed at least like 5 times, right?
I would. It's probably a lot more than 5, but and there's a lot of different definitions of what an entrepreneur is. Like I know the original. I don't know. I think you got to create something that's original and out of nothing, and that makes you an entrepreneur. Like if you're building something out of nothing. But that aside, Marknology, I do have a couple of brands. I just acquired a little kids brand. That's like, there's one I can't mention yet because it's still in the works, but the other one we've officially acquired. And it's a kids towel product with hoods, these animal hoods and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of, I treat Marknology kind of like a construction crew, in a way. Like we're going to, fix this house and the goal is not to flip it, but, treat it like one of our own clients or partners that we work with now.
So a lot of people are buying brands these days. I read on LinkedIn this morning, buying Amazon accounts is the new Bitcoin. And
Yeah.
right, like I immediately responded to that. And I said, well, you're right. It's the new Bitcoin, but there is one distinction here, right? Like it's actually worth something, right? Like, so what brought you to want to buy some of your own Amazon brands?
Well, it's been a goal of mine for a long time. Ultimately, like freedom is, has been my motivator and my like financial freedom, geographical freedom. I like being able to work from home or wherever I want. And I love agency life. I love the hustle. I love getting exposed to more opportunities than you ever would running just one company of your own. Like that is something that doesn't get said enough. Like, we're getting to, from a strategy perspective, I am strategizing on 50 plus brands, on a monthly basis. And that is just a lot of coverage. But it also accelerates the business mind in my mind. I've been able to just talk to other brilliant CEOs or creators or entrepreneurs and get their insight and their directives and all that kind of stuff. And while I love that, to me, I think that level of freedom that I want would be in 5-10 years down the road in a perfect future. I would be working with the brands that I really want to work with, maybe like less than topping out even like where you're at like 150, like, quite a bit less, but still working with brands at a level, but then the other half of the agency being my own brands that I'm building and pouring into and creating. So, yeah, that's, I know it's trending to buy brands, but just in the same way, like it's trending to be on Amazon, like me and you both, like I've been doing this for 9 years. This isn't like a new, just because it's 2020 and everyone's doing it kind of thing. Like it's really just been about getting my capital in the right
2021,
spot.
sir. Get out of 2020.
2021.
Please leave it. Please, 2020, never come back.
For us, it wasn't so bad. I mean,
you and I were crushing it. Like we made net profits beyond our possible dreams. Anybody selling on Amazon probably would.
Yeah, you told me yesterday on the podcast, like some of your biggest lessons were learned last year, like your biggest turning points in the business. So I think I'm kind of the same, and most lessons come with some pain in them. We know that, or like, hard work.
Some pain's
lessons.
Good. It's like
but
growing
some pain's good.
Pain of muscles, like, I don't know, expanding. That's good pain, right? And then some bad pain where somebody's taking an axe to, I don't know, your hamstring.
Your arm. Exactly. Right. Like there's somewhere it's ripped too much and it's not repairable. And then there's somewhere, you gotta stretch it to grow. So I think that's what 2020 was. Everyone's calling it the unpacking year. And I won't say that, but
I haven't heard that phrase. What do people mean by unpacking year?
Just like unpacking their mindset or their perspectives, or like digging through the old stuff that they haven't had time to process because life slowed down a little bit. I think that's what they're getting at when they say unpacking, like kind of just, for me, it was, am I going to lose the business? Like, we lost clients at the beginning of the year. Like, am I going to?
Yeah, the March, April drop off when everything hit the fan. Oh my gosh, that was scary. Yeah.
And I knew e-commerce was going to come out as the winner, but in the short term, like we have people to pay, we have bills to pay, right? We're like, our clients, I know they'll be here, but are they going to pay me on time? Are they going to,
all the contract work you did didn't matter what was in writing. People were just going to do whatever the heck they wanted. And you're like, what's the point of the contract, guys? Right? Like
seriously though, like, I don't know if you've ever tried to like pursue someone not paying. It costs almost as much to get them to pay, whether there's a contract or not. So to me, it's like, whether there's a contract or not, people are going to do what they have to do. As the pandemic seems like everything's getting written off anyway. So are they just going to write off my bills as well? I didn't know. And it was like, I had to really process, is Andrew going to be okay without the business? Am I still going to be Andrew? Am I too tied to this emotionally, mentally? Like, am I still me without Marknology? So there was some of that.
But I'll answer that for you. Heck yeah. You're totally.
Yeah. And I think that's where I ended up. But, I have a family business. I know your dad started working for you this year in some capacity. And that was going through my mind. Like, well, what are they going to do? Like if I mess up or I lose this, or like, just kind of some of those doubts. But on the other side of it, I feel more confident than ever. And, got through it. We got through it. And honestly, both of our businesses grew. So, that was a good time for us to just like, process what we have. And like, we know we're onto something great, and just how do we make it better?
Well, it's all about self-improvement. I'm totally with you on that. All right. So you're a true hustler, podcast host, Startup Hustle, and you're a content creator. You've got a lot of things going on. So let's talk about some of your journey and origins. So how did you get involved in this thing called e-commerce?
Well, it's a good story. So I'll take a couple of minutes because I think it can help some people.
BRB, I'm getting my Mexican Coke. No, go ahead.
It. Okay. I love Mexican Coke, so go for it. Long story short, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, but I didn't know what that word meant until like 2013. Never even like looked at the word entrepreneur. It wasn't trending. My dad was a missionary to Africa, and we always had side hustles going on as a way to support ourselves or do things. I've been a painter, UPS warehouse worker.
Real quick comment. Religious people tend to be really amazing hustlers because they're like, God expects a lot and I got to keep giving. And so like they get it, right? Like they know how to take rejection, they know how to take their stripes, whatever.
I would agree with that. We were talking about like door knocking yesterday, and like as part of like a sale, like they make the best salespeople because you can just take rejection after rejection. If you grew
Absolutely.
up as a kid door knocking, whether you're selling candy door to door or selling tracts or religion, whatever it was, um, you might get one door out of 20 that opens. So it was just knock away. It's in a matter of a
Hey, let me
number.
talk to you about Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure
could
you want to talk to me about Jesus.
I
I'm
got real
confident.
clever with the one-liners. I would get real clever with the one-liners as far as getting them to like open the door. And it was usually just something completely abstract. Um, Making me think about it. You're making me go down memory lane, but
Yeah. Well, I think so. I'm, for my listeners' sake, I don't talk about this too often, but I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so also known as Mormons. And so when missionaries' work has completely changed over the last 5-10 years, people don't really
yeah.
do a lot of door knocking these days. But if we did, we would probably do something along the lines of, "Hey, can we talk to you about baptism today?" It would be like abstract comment like you made.
Yeah, it just and it has changed so much because I mean even like I don't know your exact age, but we're close in age. And I know that
I'm 33.
okay, I'm 34. So I just had a
Wow.
birthday in December. Thank you. But when we were younger, it was normal to just pop over to someone's house, right? Like that was
Totally.
in the culture. Like if it
Yeah.
was my best friend or my friend's house, like I'd ride my bike over there after school. I'd just pop in. There was no text. I'm coming
Now
over.
the
There.
government's like, you cannot leave your closet.
Well, that's yeah. But also we like even my best friends would be like, "What you doing here? Like you didn't call, you didn't text." Back so like door knocking wasn't that weird because people would just come by your door
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, sure. We'll feed you. Come eat dinner with us. No
No,
problem.
just come in, have a seat. And you talk to them about Jesus for like 3 hours and they fed you and like they still like, oh, we're just not interested. I just was enjoying the company. Like you're like, what?
But I'm supposed to get you baptized by next week. Come on.
Well, no wonder we have no problem selling. But okay, I'll get back to the story because I really do think this can help someone.
What do you mean? Our listeners don't want to hear more about Jesus?
No, I try to stay away from it because, you know,
But by all means, guys, if you are having a rough time, you probably do need some Jesus in your life. All right. So enough about
everybody
religion.
needs some Jesus. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So your
Lesbian.
origin story, I mean, it's topical to your origin story. So let's be
It
fair
is.
to the
So
credit.
so hustling was in my blood. I know how to make a dollar. Like I would have lawns, I would be doing stuff for people, chores for money. Like, I like listing off my jobs because it really shows like it shows that if anybody wants it enough, they can get it. And I've been a warehouse worker at UPS, I've been a security guard at Maristar Casino, I've been a pro painter at CertaPro. I've worked at a car wash when I was
That is a
16.
gauntlet of retail work.
Worked in a shopping mall at retail in Hawaii. You
Have,
name the job, I've done it.
have
Right?
you have
Because
you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad?
I have.
Okay, what was your Rich Dad Poor Dad moment? And what I mean by that is like, so in the book, the kid was he recognized that like certain comic books, he could create a business by taking the ones that they were throwing away and creating a library and renting them out when he was getting paid $0 by the rich dad. And so the rich dad was paying him zero so that they would be forced to come up with opportunities. So what was your rich dad poor dad moment?
The part of the problem is that as missionary kids, like my parents and my family did a lot of things for free for people.
There is service. Service is a good, meaningful thing, though.
Right. And so it becomes hard to monetize it. I didn't really hit my mojo till much later in life as far as like knowing how to like use my mind to make money. But it was always just like I think it came from my grandpa, I think. And just showing me hard work and like how he like got me at my first lawn. And it was like my dad was making me do that shit for
Dude,
free.
I have a hard time even finding somebody who wants to mow my lawn these days.
The kids are like, it's not worth my time. I'd rather like trading my time for that. They're like, I could do this. They have so many options in front of them. It's not even funny. But trudging ahead with this one, like I really have done so many jobs. I went to school in Hawaii. I finished here in Kansas City at Park University with a computer science degree in networking and security. The whole time I'd been touring playing music. So that was really my first business. I think I was trying to make it. Like we were touring. I think one year we played like 76 shows while in school, while working 3 jobs. Like we were doing the thing. And and I learned in that business how to market myself, how to schedule a tour, which is like B2B kind of reaching out to those people and, scheduling your own tours. You working with a t-shirt designer to make merch and apparel and marketing our little booth. And I was learning a little bit of marketing on the job, like trying to make this band thing go and producing and but I got tired of being poor. I'd been going to school as
Being
my
poor is
backup plan.
awesome. Come
Being
on.
poor sucks.
I love eating ramen noodles.
Man, my friend still eats ramen noodles, and I'm like, you don't understand. That's like traumatic for me. I ate so much of that, like I can't even
PTSD
smell
ramen
it. Like,
noodles.
yeah, I can't even smell that.
Dude, so one random weird thing about me, I eat whole grain bread, right? And like that doesn't exist in grocery stores, like not like the real stuff, right? Like so I'm going
Yeah,
to Great Harvest and I'm paying $7 for a loaf of whole wheat bread, or I'm baking it myself, right? And like maybe what do you think the population percentage is on? Like 1% of people like eat whole wheat.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I have that's why I'm in UConn, man. I gotta afford my wheat bread.
You gotta afford your. Okay, so like I used to not care about money. I'm telling you, I wasn't in music. I was just wanted geographical freedom. I had this different relationship with money. It was more negative, probably because I didn't grow up with money in my family, and I really needed to change my relationship with money. I fell in love, and I wanted to give them the world. I got tired of being poor, and I was like, okay, I'm going to use what I mean by that is the tour life is hard, and it was hard to take care of anyone else but myself. And so I wanted to be able to
What instrument did you
provide
play?
for them. I played bass.
I always hear stories that's the hardest player to replace and find a new. So once you quit
Well,
the band just breaks up.
I'm a white dude with rhythm. I grew up in Africa. They have rhythm like you wouldn't believe, and I feel like it's just in my soul a little bit. So, I've always gravitated
What,
toward those bass lines.
hold on. What was it like being a redhead in Africa?
Well, you know the Mean Girl reference. I know that one's coming
Actually, I do not
probably.
know the Mean Girl reference.
Okay, well, there's a redhead from Africa and Mean Girls, Lindsay Lohan, and almost
Oh, that
anyone,
okay. All right,
yeah, she was cool.
I'll tell that to my wife later, and she's gonna say like, "How did you not know that reference?"
Growing up, well, Sunblock sucked. It wasn't aerosol. They wrote songs about me, made fun of me, all kinds of
I
crazy
bet.
stuff. Congo was a war zone that I'm gonna pass over because that's for another day.
Jeez, Louise.
But it was honestly harder coming back. I was kind of
Did you
treated
ever
like
did you
not
ever meet a
accepted by the
gorilla?
whites or the blacks. Huh?
Did you ever get to see a gorilla?
I
Like
saw a chimp.
a chimp? All right,
My
close
friends had
enough.
a chimp in their house. Um,
That's weird.
Yeah, it really is.
Did he
Honestly,
wear
like
Did he wear a
when
diaper?
I really like usually pass over Africa because it's so unlike people think in the movies or whatever that it's
Yeah.
like it's hard to relate. They don't have anything to relate it to, you know? Like Hotel Rwanda is honestly a more close relation to how it was than
Ooh.
anything else, right?
Oh, back to my diaper question. Was the chimpanzee wearing a diaper?
It was. Her name was Shelly.
Wow. Okay.
She ate it and she ate at the dinner
I mean,
table.
when I look at 2020, I kind of wonder these days, like, are we going to go back to the Planet of the Apes days? Like, are we,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
I feel like yeah, we'll leave that one alone.
Okay. All right.
You're
I'm
gonna get me in
triggering your
trouble trying to be
PTSD in
funny.
Congo right now.
Yeah.
We got to move on. Okay. So
Whew.
let's get to the hacks. Let's get to
Okay.
here's where you offer your wisdom that imparts into people so that they feel empowered and can go do something today to grow their sales on Amazon or otherwise. So
I can
how
summarize it quick. I have
sure.
worked a million. I'm a blue collar guy in a white collar world.
That makes
Okay.
perfect sense to me.
I have done all the jobs. I've been a musician, the band guy in the garage, all that stuff. I used my computer science degree out of school, started making more money than I ever had. And I was sitting in a knock for anyone in OC is like network operations control, which is like
Sounds really technical.
it's a networking job. Okay. But there's lots of them. Almost every big company has one. And I hated it. I went from music and creating things to sitting there and I was using my degree and doing really smart shit. The like job application was like that thick to get it. And I was like, I know how to do like 1 page of this from school, but I got the job, and there was like that validation side of like, okay, you're not being a piece of shit. And, but
People always talk about faking it until they make it, but like, you didn't fake it, dude. You were qualified. You just
yeah,
needed some on the job training to get you over
I
the hump.
agreed. I actually learned that like once I got in there, I was like, this doesn't matter. I don't need this like 20-page job description to do this job. I was better than everyone in 6 months. I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you.
What was the one metric you had to do to be good at your job?
Um, attention to detail.
So like every job can always boil down to one metric, always.
I
And
think that's what that one was. It was you notify, like the problem happens, you notify, you start taking great great notes and documenting everything, and like contacting the India, the network operations control guy in India, and being like, hey, your router's down at this bank, like, and you're detailing all the notes and you're passing it on to the next team. And it was attention to detail. And I'm like, I'm great at that. So
yeah, so somebody who can't define their own job, this could go for anybody listening. If you can't define your own job in one metric, your job description is not succinct enough, in my opinion. So that's my advice. Okay, back to you though.
so
So
I'm working this job. This is how I got into e-commerce.
yeah,
I had like, went to school for 6 years. It took me 6 years because I was touring and everything at the same time. 6 years to get my degree. I'm using it. It's a MasterCard Global. Like MasterCard's a pretty reputable company. And after that, like I basically wrote my ticket for being in networking and security. Like my career is on its way. My first job is a good one. But I was dying inside, and I was like, it was a dark room. Literally, you go through like 4 security things to get in there. It's like a bunch of older guys that are just like, these are where like they're ending their careers. And it just felt like death to me. And I was like, I need to do something drastically different, and I need out. And so I had finished my 1-year contract. They offered me a job because it was a 1-year contract to hire. They offered me a job, and I said no. And
was that empowering or scary?
scary because I was about to get married. I was engaged, and I wanted to create, like, I wanted to make good decisions. I was thinking like a family man now instead of just like Andrew individual. And it was like I'm turning down a really solid job to chase my heart, and but she supported me, so I made that move. Went to Florida, and I was getting hit up by all these other knocks. Okay, so I'm moving to Florida to start over. My family lived there, from KC. And I said no to all those jobs. The job where you're getting the Red Bull, the job where they're massaging your back, and like they bring massages on Friday, like those cool companies. Like in a way, like I kind of wanted to work there. Like I'd never worked at a cool company, and they're courting me. And I stuck to my guns. I said no. I started working at this startup. I was employee number 3. They had some powerful websites going with car parts, like trailer hitches and trailer lights and things like that. And in my 1 year there, I grew. They had no eBay account or Amazon. We grew sales to over $1 million. I was the only one putting the products up on eBay and Amazon. So I knew I was still like manually adding tracking numbers and stuff back then. It was every
It's a
night.
lot of work.
It's a
But
lot of work.
good for you, man.
So it was drop shipping, and then we started private labeling
What
product from
one
China.
one of my favorite questions to ask. What was the first item you ever sold online? While you're thinking about that, I'll give you mine.
It was an OEM Jeep, Mopar like hubcap.
That is so awesome on so many levels. By the way, I'm confident aftermarket parts are still crushing it on eBay these days. Not so much on Amazon, but definitely on eBay. And you would know better than me, so I'll stop
Well,
sharing my opinion.
what's your first product?
Magic the Gathering Sliver Queen from the Stronghold Edition.
Ooh,
Yeah, and have you ever played Magic?
yeah,
So the original trading card game.
okay, yeah. And it was like just like selling off your stuff, or it was like
I was
you were.
I was what, 14, 15? I don't remember. And I just didn't need it. I just wanted my $20 in cash. So I sold it, and I sold it to a card shop through eBay. And they wrote me a nice, polite letter saying, your near mint condition card has a slight bend in it. And I was like,
Oh my God.
You're right. I give you an extra $4. So that was my first e-com sale.
Okay, I need to retract my because I was thinking, what did I do at this job? But like honestly, I think I had been selling stuff on Craigslist or eBay, but not in like a business way. In like a
I've never used Craigslist.
Well, that was, back in the day. And if you like move a lot, and music equipment is huge on
I
Craigslist. At
bet.
least it was in the band days. So it was Craigslist was like we were literally making money buying like on tour, buying like music instruments, pedals, guitars. We'd see a deal on a Craigslist while we're in that city. We would like look every
Just
time we came into a new
pocket.
city,
Nice.
take it to the next city. Either we needed to fix some strings or we all knew how to work on equipment and everything. So we would literally like buy stuff and resell it. To keep ourselves like financed on tour.
Have you seen the episode on the Profit where it's a good, better, best model with drums?
Oh, I haven't, but I do
Okay,
love the Profit.
you need to watch that episode. So it's actually it happens to be my favorite Profit episode.
Okay.
And although I do think he gets a little repetitive as the seasons go on, I have a love for what he does that Shark Tank doesn't, right? Like, so his concept, he comes in and he's like, man, you guys don't have a system for anything. Hire me, follow my way, or I'm out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Dave Ramsey
most of
concept.
the episodes are like revealing on how like people reject him, like he's a heart transplant and the heart is rejected by the host and like frequently, but then the ones that do, it's just like heartwarming embrace and their success, right? And I'm sure there's more to the behind the scenes stories than what's made out in Hollywood. But long story short, these guys make all kinds of drums and they're super sophisticated, and the dude's like, your business model is too complicated. I can't explain your product in 30 seconds, right? So he says, we're going to make 3 drums only: a good, a better, and a best. So I think you'd like that episode.
Okay, I would love that. We're always trying to sell the better, right? Is that the key? Is that the message
I,
there?
I don't even know if that is the message. I mean, maybe it could be, right? But
Okay,
like,
just simplify.
here I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm a visionary, right? It's like in my mind, I'm like, you're going to be selling instruments on Amazon someday. Like that, I'm immediately thinking that. And I'm like, why aren't you doing that now? And let
Because
me
you
push
know
for that.
them and like, yeah, it was like, but I guess I had to just retract what I've been selling online. I didn't think of those things as like my first sales online, but I think my dad even bought a car off eBay like way before that. And my
That's
dad was been
incredible. Like,
showing me
it's even
stuff.
scary to buy a car off eBay today, let alone back then. You just like,
Well,
who knows?
my dad is the kind of guy that went to Congo when it was the most dangerous country on earth, without weapons or guns or money or
So I
anything.
bet if
So
he took like the culture index, predictive index, whatever index you want to talk about, I bet he's a daredevil.
he is, man. That's the thing. Like he was on eBay buying cars. Like
You, you want to know why you
he
and
was
I
a
have the same
trailblazer.
same childhood and different fathers? It's because we both had daredevils as dads.
Fair enough. You know what? Something really cool. I am going to the Evil Knievel Museum in April. That's how far out it's booked. And
Wow.
they're literally, it's supposed to be like, it's in like Topeka, Kansas. Okay. But this company called DI, Dimensional Innovation here in Kansas City, like I went and toured their facility and talk about one of the coolest facilities I've ever seen in my life. This is a
Wow.
shame. I'm not getting sponsored for this plug, but for any kind of guy like us, it was just, they had literally a 3D printer that could print a house in that building. It was just like a playground for cool nerds, like, and they redid this Evil Knievel museum, and I'm super excited to go because he's a daredevil. But I guess it's all like virtual and interactive, and it's like the #1 museum in America right now to go to. So
That's really
Evil
awesome. Where's it
Knievel,
located?
Topeka, Kansas.
Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah.
Middle of nowhere. They've made it the #1 museum to go to, and I'm just like real excited to go to that. So
Well, good for you. That'll make a
daredevil.
good Facebook
Yeah,
photo.
it was a birthday gift, so I'm pumped to go. But back to the story. um I go to the startup. I'm selling Jeep. I'm selling car parts. We're doing $1 million in sales. Like we're absolutely crushing. I got 5 raises that year, but my relationship was going to shit. Not honestly from any
With
lack
the
of effort.
significant other or the company?
With a significant other. The company had
Okay.
given me 5 raises, so I was crushing it. I think just moving to Florida and everything was a lot on our relationship. Her being away from home and family and things like that. So we were I didn't think I was that young because we had been together for quite a while and it felt like the right thing to do. But, looking back, I guess 25 is young, still to get married. And everyone has their own beliefs around that. But I felt like I was all
40 is
in.
the new 20, I guess. I don't know.
40, whatever. 40 is the new 20. 34 feels young to me. But we moved back to Kansas City.
It doesn't feel as young when the hair starts going. Then you
You
start and
know,
you're like, frick,
my dad's bald, so I don't know. I'm in overtime right now. I'm in
you're in
overtime.
overtime. I feel like Homer Simpson. Like the third kid popped out and was like, okay, I got two pieces of hair strands left.
Well, you're married, right? You're
Yeah.
married. You're good. You're locked down.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
it
good
does,
to
yeah.
go.
Well, I mean, rich bald dudes, they do okay, right? Jeff Bezos, anyone?
I think it's a good sign.
I mean, I shaved down all the way, and then I haven't continued to bick it, just quite frankly out of laziness. And I'm also kind of curious, like when it continues to grow in, like which level I'll like the most, and I haven't decided, or which level of maintenance. And you're probably thinking you probably took the other route, right? Like you got this like man
Yeah,
beard.
I shaved it all off in the pandemic because I couldn't get to the barber, and I was just like, I'm gonna cut all this off. Um, and now I'm just growing it back. It's winter. I just get bored, man. Honestly, I
Yeah.
just go back and forth, just getting bored. So
Well, I mean, it's like which episode of Vikings are we watching, right? Like which season are we
exactly,
on?
that's my favorite show anyway. So I'm from that part of Europe too. So
You gotta, you gotta change the haircut. Otherwise, people who are watching don't know what episode they're
I'm
watching.
like, these people are like me. I fit in here. But okay, so we moved back to Kansas City. I want to show people that like
I'm not gonna
you
let
need
you
to
finish the
follow.
story. I'm gonna keep
I
interrupting with
know, I know,
anecdotes.
I know.
It's
But
like my entire goal today.
I feel like this is the American dream story, honestly. I'm from nothing really, as far as financially or business or any of those kinds of connections or things like that. Great family, but not, we're lower middle class income wise, and just clawed my way to the top. I still got a long way to go, but it started with just not settling for anything that didn't make me happy and didn't make me fulfilled. And I didn't always know what that was. And at first it felt like I was just like moving around, trying a bunch of things, but I just refused to stay at a place that didn't feel right. And that had nothing to do with the startup, but like when you look at my path until I found this, it was like, I think it's quickly to look at someone and be like, oh, you switched jobs 3 times in the last 3 years, and kind of judge them a little. And
So,
really,
so like, there's so many similarities between our stories. It's incredible. Like, so I worked for four failed startups in a row, right? Like, and I didn't even make it to a year at two of those jobs. So, um,
and I'm sure it wasn't all on you either.
oh no, it was. I'm gonna totally blame it. It was the companies.
Right. I like you talked about like the agency I've built. It was less about there's a company and I want to build it like this. It was more like I've worked for enough companies that I thought had bad leadership or had bad culture, and like I'm like, I want to do that differently. And still didn't know what entrepreneurship was. I was never trying to just start a business. I'm just that guy that's like a really good employee in a way, or at least that's what I thought. I'm always giving 150%, like a whatever company I'm at. If I'm cleaning cars, I'm giving it 150%. If I'm landscaping, I'm giving 150%. And I left the startup, came back to US Toy for that relationship. Unfortunately, like I hit rock bottom when we split, and this was like 2012.
So,
um
so there's a good point here, right? So like, as great of a businessman, you could have been the best businessman in the world, and you go through a split with a significant other, and like it has a cascading effect, right? Like it.
yeah, it
So
affected everything.
so people who run businesses, their personal life is intermingled, right? Like, and if that support mechanism fails at any point in time, it has massive implications. And so, some people who are to the point in this episode are like, okay, what's the point of this episode? And here's where we start to like actually give advice and tips. But when they actually finish this episode, they're going to realize we already did the best stuff. Like
Yeah.
like the journey is about finding resolve. But
And not
okay,
settling and I just share that because it's authentic, and you talk about sharing your failures and stuff, and that's what really helps people learn. And I just want to show, like, someone can look at me on Instagram or on my podcast and be like, oh my god, yeah, he knows everything about Amazon, he's got all his shit together, like, oh my god, look at the Jeep. But like, honestly, it's been a lifetime of learning lessons the hard way. And that split essentially made me start becoming more self-aware. I knew a lot about the world by growing up abroad and all these things, but I didn't know a lot about myself. And so a recentering of
interesting.
self and figuring out what mattered to me and what I wanted my legacy to be and what kind of man I wanted to be and all of these kinds of things.
I'll be honest. I have not thought about the legacy question in my life. Now you're giving me something to think about over the weekend.
Well, good. It was just I lost everything in that moment, in that year, that was important to me. And so I had to redetermine what was important to me and what mattered and what I was going to give 100% to this time. And that was legacy for me. And leaving people better than when I met them. And it can go on and on and on, but people talk about business and personal life, and you can't believe that you are the sum of the 5 people you're around and throw stuff quotes around like that and not think that your significant other doesn't matter too. Right? Like, it's a huge part of you being a successful businessman or woman is like who you're around all the time. And a significant other is probably the person spending the most time with you. So, I wasn't even a businessman at that point. I was an e-commerce guy, and so I got a job at an e-commerce manager at a 300 person company, and started learning quite a bit from the inside. They had hired me for my experience on Amazon and what I had done at that startup. And this CTO, CMO, he was both, wanted to focus on Amazon. And so I came in, they were doing about 2 million annually on Amazon, but really just running a feed from the website, like
Sure.
product description, title, image, and so I
Checking
came
the
in really,
box and showing up, which is
yeah.
and has been historically a valid business model.
And that was 2013. Okay. So it's come a long way on Amazon, even in the last 7 years. But I was like, we need more photos. We need
What's
content. We
this
need
thing called
descriptions.
merchandising?
I don't even know. I don't, sometimes like look at some Nike listings on Amazon, makes me sick a little bit. I'm like, guys.
People, the big corporations don't have their act together. Don't follow the big corp. Follow the side hustler out of his garage who's like literally having to succeed to pay his rent. That's the dude that's gonna have the best listing on the world. All right, so give me your best piece of advice. What's the fastest way to grow sales on Amazon from your experience?
Hire one of us.
That's the cop out answer.
I mean, you said the same yesterday, and I think that it's true. It's if you're if you know this space, like let's say you're already an Amazon seller, the advice is a little bit different. If you don't know anything about Amazon,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need to
So treat this like the current landscape. You're an Amazon seller, and then this is applicable to if you're going to be trying to go from 100,000 a month to 200,000 a month, and you're already an Amazon seller. What advice would you give them?
try everything, A/B test it, because I'm assuming they don't have like a ton of knowledge and they're not already experts. So it's you don't know what you don't know. So test those things out. Like sometimes switching around a photo has brought a difference in 10% conversion rate for me. Just swap photo 1 and 2, or the other photo is the one showing up. So you're never completely arrived. Like treat every product like it's your own product. And what I mean by that is just like optimize, 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 optimize. You're never done.
I like that Amazon's an iterative platform. I think it's a great. It's not like submitting a book for publishing and then you're done and that's the edition. No, you can make 50 changes this week if you want.
Yeah, that's huge. And one of the reasons I stay with Amazon over the Walmarts and the Etsy's and the eBays and the other marketplaces that very arguably have their own customer base and sales potential and things like that. But a lot of them are like set it up and let it run. And there's little things you can do to them, but Amazon is a proactive platform. And as much as we hate it, I'm the type of person that is always trying to optimize, that's always trying to reverse engineer things and make them better. And Amazon allows us to do that, and I think that's why I've been so passionate about this platform, is that there's always the potential for me working as a brand or as just a seller myself or whatever to be a little bit better. And there's another optimization. There's another thing we can do to just make it a little bit better. And I love that part of the platform.
All right. So what other things can somebody do to grow their traffic besides continue to test? Any particular traffic hacks today?
Yeah. We could talk about advertising. So, Amazon advertising before the pandemic and different things. Like I was on a little bit of a circuit speaking specifically around, I'd be brought in as the Amazon advertising speaker. So people like to say that's my expertise. I'll kind of toot our own horn a little bit. Marknology is an Amazon advertising agency partner. We got that January 1 of 2020. Typically that is for softwares. Like I think in the first 60 agency partners, 58 of them were software, and 2 of them are service based. So I'm proud of that, just meaning like our strategy is sound. Our strategy is pretty sound. And to give some tips, I think that kind of that following of like, you don't know what you don't know. Advertising, whether you like it or not, is just a huge part of the flywheel. And intentionality around your strategy there can be really, really big for getting traffic. And until that's absolutely maxed out, I think that deserves your attention when you're trying to grow sales. And I don't mean maxed out by just how much money you're throwing at it. I mean optimization. And it's never really done in PPC, but you want your organic rank to climb. There's things you can do in advertising. Like you want to get more exposure, like top of funnel from, maybe people aren't searching your exact product because it's an invention or something new and people just aren't searching that thing yet. Well, advertising is how you're going to get seen by other products that maybe like have the same customer, with product targeting ads or things like that. So, I'm trying to stay within Amazon with my suggestions, but, I think that advertising is a really big part of it. And then just to circle that out, because this is really how I think about Amazon. I really have a hard time with the guys that just do advertising on Amazon. And that's their thing. That's like, I just do PPC or we just do advertising, because so much of the advertising is affected by everything else.
They're all connected. That's why the full service agency plug,
it's a must.
It's a good thing.
It's a must, because I truly believe that, because as easy as it'd be to be like, I don't want to mess with your copy or your SEO, your backend search terms, or your variations or your listings or your UPC issues or anything like that.
So the actual hard work, you don't want to do that part? Yeah.
That's what these PPC agencies that have adapted and come over do. Your photo matters, your your content when they get on the page through your ad matters, your reviews matter. All of that comes into play with your ads. And so if you want to be excellent at ads, you have to care about everything else. So that's why I don't like to just be considered the advertising guy, because I'm like, it's everything else that needs to be optimized before the ads even really, can be optimized. Going a little bit of a hole there, but I think the ads are so big for traffic, of course, because it's one of the major ways that you get people to your listings.
All right. And then last question for you is conversion. Give me one conversion tip.
One conversion tip. I think it's to take a step back from your product yourself and open it up for outside input. Whether that's an agency like ours, whether that's a group of friends, whether that's a website like PickFu, where you can A/B test photos and get people's like feedback on it. Have you heard of PickFu?
Yeah, they have been coming up repeatedly in my conversations.
I highly suggest it. It's not that expensive. You get to choose your own budget. I've done some case studies on it, and it's like eye-opening what people think about your products that you feel like you're emotionally attached to, or like you're like, oh my God, this is so easy to understand exactly what this is, or blah blah blah.
I'm bringing PickFu on my podcast next week to shoot, and awesome. I watched so Helium 10 Elite in December. Blown me away presentation from PickFu, just completely blew me away.
The girls over there are awesome. At least that's who I've worked with. But those photos, the graphics, like, are you doing a good job of selling and educating about your products? And you can get like actual feedback from customers within your segment, like on PickFu. That's not the only way to do it, but you could do it with friends or family. Just open it up, take a subjective step back, and take the feedback for what it is. If you're trying to sell more stuff, getting actual feedback that, do they understand your product? Do they understand what they're getting? Do they have any additional questions that's keeping them from saying yes? Ask them to think like that as a buyer, and take that real feedback and implement it into your listings. And it can make a huge difference in regards to getting people to say yes to that purchase.
Well, perfect. Andrew, it was really a pleasure having you on my podcast. If somebody wants to get in touch with you or learn more about Marknology, where do they go?
Marknology.com. I'm a fan of Instagram. I'm on it a lot, at Andrew Morgans, but I'm on the Startup Hustle podcast. If you just want to be more of a passive person and engage with the podcast and tune in, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Marknology is everywhere. And I made the word up. So it's a mixture of marketing and technology. My name is not Mark. just so you guys know. But Marknology, Marknology. Type that into Google. I'm the only one that comes up.
Well, very cool, man. I like the origin story conversations. I just think it's fun to see how people got into e-commerce, and it's inspiring, quite frankly, to see what people overcome and the failures they experience and all the troubles. So thanks for coming on the My Amazon Guy podcast.
Yeah, thanks for letting me share my story and having me on the show. I know we'll be in touch soon.
Sounds like a plan. That's the My Amazon Guy podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks, gentlemen. This was the My Amazon Guy podcast with Stephen Pope. Each episode helps you grow your sales on Amazon through ideas on traffic and conversion rate improvements. Hit that subscribe button right now to tune in each week. And if you need more help, go to myamazonguy.com.